Most beginners think the only way to make real money on PolyMarket is by getting lucky on one crazy bet, like throwing $100 into some viral headline and hoping it explodes. But that's not what's actually happening. Right now, there are people starting with $100 and slowly compounding it into $1,000, not by guessing, not by gambling, and not by chasing hype, but by exploiting small probability gaps the market keeps mispricing. And the crazy part? These trades don't look exciting. They're actually kind of boring. And that's exactly why most people ignore them. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how beginners are structuring these trades, how they're managing risk so they don't blow up their accounts, and the simple probability rule they follow that most traders completely miss. At the core, PolyMarket and Kalshi are prediction markets where every price represents an implied probability, meaning if a contract is trading at 55 cents, the market is saying there's roughly a 55% chance that outcome happens. And the biggest misconception beginners have is thinking the goal is to be right, when in reality, the goal is to buy probabilities that are mispriced relative to reality. Being right at the wrong price can still lose you money, and being wrong at the right price can still be profitable over time. And that single idea is what separates consistent traders from everyone else. Now, another thing most people miss is how important volume and liquidity are, because high volume markets tend to absorb information faster, adjust probabilities more accurately, and reflect collective intelligence, while low volume markets are often driven by emotion, speculation, and noise, which is why most professional traders focus almost exclusively on liquid markets, even if they look boring. The real edge in these systems comes from moments where new information hasn't been fully digested yet, or where the crowd is reacting emotionally instead of rationally. And to show you that this isn't just theory, I want to break down 3 real PolyMarket traders and the simple but very effective strategies they're actually using. The first trader is Gambling Is All You Need, who's up over $3 million. And if you look closely at his behavior, his edge isn't constant activity, it's asymmetric conviction. He waits, sometimes for weeks, doing nothing, and when he sees a market where probability is clearly misaligned with reality, he enters with size and lets the math play out instead of panicking at short-term price movement. He's not trying to win every trade, he's trying to exploit rare moments where the expected value is massively in his favor. The second trader is TDR HRHHD, who's up over $1.8 million, and his strategy is what I'd call macro patience, meaning he focuses on longer-term geopolitical or structural outcomes, ignores daily headlines, accepts drawdowns, and understands that markets often move sideways or even against you before reality eventually catches up to price. He's not predicting news, he's predicting where the world is most likely to settle over time, and he's comfortable sitting in positions while everyone else overreacts. The third trader is Rabs, who's made close to $900,000, and his edge comes from event timing exploitation. He positions before known catalysts like court rulings, elections, or announcements, then exits into volatility once attention floods into the market, meaning he's not betting on outcomes as much as betting on how people respond to information. All 3 of these strategies look different on the surface, but they share the same foundation. They rely on identifying probability mispricing, and that's the hardest part for most people, because knowing which markets are actually mispriced in real time requires processing way more information than a human realistically can. This is where the POLYSIGHT process becomes the most powerful strategy I've found, and I want to be very clear. This isn't about letting an AI think for you, it's about using it as a probability filter. The first step is going to PolyMarket and filtering for high volume markets, because volume signals information density. Then choosing a market where the question is clearly defined and the outcome can be evaluated logically. Step 2 is taking a screenshot of that market, the current odds, the implied probabilities, and the context. And step 3 is uploading that screenshot into PolySight's AI analyzer. What PolySight does is scrape relevant data from news, historical outcomes, related markets, and probability relationships across the internet. then runs that information through a mathematical framework to determine which outcome is most statistically likely given everything currently known. It doesn't predict the future, it measures edge, and that distinction matters. Step 4 is interpreting the output and asking whether the market's price aligns with that probability, or whether there's a meaningful gap between reality and perception. And if there is, step 5 is simply returning to PolyMarket and placing the bet with confidence that you're not guessing, you're sanity checking the crowd. When you follow this process consistently, PolyMarket and Kalshi stop feeling like gambling platforms and start feeling like probability management systems. Because the real edge isn't predicting what happens next, it's recognizing when the crowd is wrong, slow, or emotional. And once you internalize that, these markets finally make sense.